In the last 30 or 40 years, cities throughout the world have had their hearts torn down, destroyed by people and organizations whose only interest, alas, is to make the maximum amount of profit from the smallest possible area in the shortest possible time. They have little concern for the quality of the buildings that they're putting down, or indeed for the aesthetic quality of the ones they're putting up in their stead. Here in Auckland, one man was determined that it wouldn't happen to the city that he loved so dearly. And by a happy chance of fate, he combines the vision, the eye, the enthusiasm of an artist with business acumen equal to those property developers whose ambitions he has so successfully thwarted. His name is Harvey.
Artist, fanatic, philosopher, owner of dozens of beautiful old buildings which he has vowed to preserve for the future, craftsman, millionaire, bricklayer, lover of old junk, enemy of progress, flatterer and flirt.
All the girls in the street. Don't you love it? Don't you love his hat?
Twins are beautiful.
Yes, they are.
You know, even if they're only maybe 20 years old. But when they're 25, they're marvellous.
Yeah.
People either love him or hate him. There seems to be no middle way. He already owns large sections of the old part of the city. In fact, wherever you see a beautiful old building anywhere in Auckland, it probably is his. Yet he insists that he owns nothing. He is just a custodian looking after beautiful things so they can be preserved for people to enjoy them. His principal achievement is here in Parnell village, which, when he started, was a crumbling collection of shabby old shops and decrepit weatherboard houses. These he has gently restored, recreated into a charming group of restaurants, open-air cafes, craft shops and boutiques, surrounded by cobble lanes and bricked courtyards, all punctuated by flowering trees and miniature gardens, which he has planted. Now, on the face of it, it might sound as though Parnell was the same as London's Chelsea, New York's Greenwich Village, or even Sydney's Paddington. What makes it different is that it is entirely one man's dream of what a city should aspire to become.
What I aim for is a sort of a little magic quality, you know, for a magic city. And I'm very short, as you can see. And so everything I design on this very small scale. You see, it's a bit like a clown. You know, a clown's an incredible creature. He pays for grandpa and little children and for other people. And what I do when I'm designing, this little shop here, for instance.
So this is what a children's bookshop.
Yes. And because it's for children, and for, you know, all of you tall people, but for a little child, if you get down here for a little child and you look through there, yeah, it's a magic place. I put a little daffodil on top of that corner piece, and then I actually lay down here, you see, and I sketched out this crazy little window. And it's like a very small child's, like maybe a fairy's view of a daffodil. You see, it overhangs, and, well, I think it feels like a daffodil.
Much of the work he's done himself. The rest has been accomplished by professional craftsmen working to his design.
Now, you always use old bricks.
Yes, very well, of course, because old bricks have a softness, and they are things that people made by hand or in very crude presses. Yes, of course I lay them myself. Well, you see, you can't employ people to do this sort of crazy. If you employed a bricklayer, you know, he would level it and
make a good job of it.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
You know, but it wouldn't be a magic job, you see. Now, it's all a little bit whoopy, you see, like a mountain stream, you see. And as we walk along here, you'll see that it actually does feel as if you're walking in a dry creek bed. Now, this is the way that I feel. Whether other people feel or not, I don't know, but I think they do. I think children do, and I think people who've been into the bush do.
Well, how do you design things?
Well, just you know, for instance, if I do this, I just looks put the damn thing up and
then people...
and then just make it, yes, or get my men.
What was this funny little shop for? I mean,
well, it was a little Maori gift shop, you see, and they had a sickness in the family, and so they had to give it up. And this incredible lady came along. She's, well, she's not old, but she'd
Old
be...
as you.
Yes. Anyway, she makes double damask dinner napkins, and tablecloths and things, and so I've just built a perfect little shop for her, you see.
Yes. Well, let's walk on the left.
It's very pretty, isn't it, really?
It's sort of New Zealand Elizabethan, really.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Yeah. You see, it's a bustly sort of place, and this little lane used to go through to the cherry orchard, and I have all the land at the back there, and one day, I must tell you this, one day a lady came to me and she said, I'd love to start a little business here, you see, and I said, wonderful. I said, well, what sort of business do you want to start? She said, well, things like jumpers and woolies, and I said, well, that's fine, what's the name, darling? And she said, Cherry Orchard, which I thought was absolutely marvellous. Her dad was an architect, or he still is an architect, and so she has a little shop on the corner here, you see, and that is magic. This is what I try to explain to people. You know, these magical things happen all the time. You know, if you're just not in too much of a hurry.
Well, how sort of custom-made are your shops?
Well, actually, I build every shop to suit every tenant. You see, here's a little, incredible little bathroom shop. It's so tiny, but it's beautiful. And this lady, Isabel, she's a very slim lady, and so she makes very, very slim clothes. And she had this problem, of course, of stout ladies coming in. Of course, she had nothing for them, and she said, well, look, how can I stop coming in, you see?
What, the fat women from going in?
Yes. Yeah. So I thought, well, now, I'll cut a hole through this window, and I'll make a tiny little door. This tiny little door, you see. And so if they can walk through there... Yes, now, it's a little difficult for me, because I'm quite stout.
Have you ever been inside?
Oh, yes, I have been inside, but I go through the side door, you see. Yeah.
Now, a magic city should have a wicked ogre living hard by, and Les Harvey's ogre is authority, here personified by Auckland's octogenarian mayor, now in his 15th year of office, Sir Dove Meyer Robinson.
In an organised society, or in a society such as we've got here, if you tried to run it without rules which are very strictly applied, you'd just have chaos, hopeless chaos.
You can have your rules.
Yeah.
But I don't want a bar of them, you know, because now, Robbie, I haven't got time. I haven't got time to wait while committees decide on things. You know, I'm a sculptor. I don't know if you know, but I'm a sculptor, and the bloody committee couldn't create a sculpture.
You are an anarchist.
I had one case in particular in Victoria Street where I heard that the company was trying to buy the whole street, and I bought this one little building in the middle. And then they came along to me and they said, look, would you like to make a profit on your deal? And I said, well, not really. And, you know, for about 3 weeks they kept coming back with offers that they said I couldn't possibly resist. You know, and at the time I was hard up for about $1 million or something. But, you know, in the end, I just said, well, look, I'm terribly sorry, but you just haven't got enough money. And they said, well, we've got billions of dollars. I said, it makes absolutely no difference to me at all.
The village has been created by using bits and pieces that he has salvaged from old buildings being knocked down all over New Zealand.
Through here, for instance, now, I have the most incredibly delicate old cast iron, you know.
And that was brought out as ballast for ships too,
Yes,
wasn't it?
yes, of course. Yes.
Would that be English?
Well, most of it that came out here was French. And it has a delicacy about it that I think perhaps it is French. I can't swear to this, but I think so. You see this, for instance, now then, I climbed up when they were pulling down the old school I went to in town, Wellesley Street School, and this was the lightning conductor. And when they were demolishing it, I climbed up, and it was a wet and fairly horrible sort of day. And I thought, well, it would just be my luck for lightning to strike, but it didn't. You know. But one day I'll put this up somewhere, and well, you know, look, it's all rubbish until it's used, and then it becomes beautiful again. You see the skill, incredible skill of the man that made that. You know, on an anvil with his great hammer and his chestnut tree. I don't know whether he had a chestnut tree, but by rights he should have had a chestnut tree, you see.
It seems to me, Les, always, that you have extraordinary business acumen, and yet you've got the mind and eyes of a child.
This is right, yes. I think this is what a child is. A child is not an idiot, you know. A child is... if you ask a child for a sweet, if it has a bag of sweets, it will give you one sweet. It doesn't give you the whole bag. It knows instinctively that it must protect its bag of goodies, its sweets.
So this is very pretty. That's lavender there, isn't it?
Yes, it's beautiful. The other one, of course, is Alison or Sweet Alice.
Well, why,
you know?
why'd you plant it so low?
Well, you know,
I mean, very low like that.
yes, I plant it for us to look at, to be seen from up there, but above all, you know, little kiddies like this. You see, if you get down here again, now look, if you have a look through there, see, you have a look through there. It's a little forest, and these are the tender flowers. These are the magic flowers. This is little flower, the forget-me-not. And these little ones here are Sweet Alice. Beautiful little flowers.
And the lavender too.
And children love them. Yes, lavenders and well, all sorts of sweetly scented little flowers. And all little girls should really have little bunches of flowers. I think they should anyway. Yeah, particularly if they're very, very nice little girls. I'm sorry the violets are over, but you see, now, this is how little fairy bunches of flowers are made. And they're very nice when they're made like this, you see. That's why they call them fairy bunches. I think it is anyway, I'm not too sure. But I think it may be. It may be true.
Yes, there's room in our society for such people
idiots.
as you,
That's right.
as exhibits, as odd men out.
No.
But we couldn't run it on that basis.
I don't know about that. I don't believe that.
Well,
you know,
I do.
No.
But he has made it more beautiful, hasn't he?
In spots, beautiful, absolutely, and I'm one of his greatest admirers.
And I'm one of your greatest admirers.
I know,
too,
you
because
should
you
be.
kept the sewage out of our harbour,
Yeah,
for
well,
one thing. You know,
thank you
that's
very
only
much,
one
Les.
thing. No, I mean it.
Yeah,
I mean it. You know, I'm so proud of you, but I must... Look, a city is for people, not motor cars, I'm sorry. You know, the best parts of our city have been raped for motorways.
Yeah.
You know, and people used to live there, and all these beautiful little valleys that we had, you know. So beautiful. It's not your fault, it's nobody's fault, but if I can, in the few remaining pieces, if I can turn into very gentle places
You're
for
doing
people,
a wonderful job.
this is what I
You're
am.
doing a wonderful job, but you've got to remember there are 400,000 people in Auckland who have motor cars, and they've got to have roading and
But the
accommodation
day-
for their motor cars. But
The
Les,
day of the motor car's over. Man has, maybe for 1 million years, he's gradually increased his knowledge, his technology. But one of the momentary pitfalls of this is that man is already rendered redundant as a worker. And there'll never, ever be full employment again. Never. It just can't be, because technology does what it was intended to do. It makes it unnecessary for people to work, and most of these jobs these people are in are they're just ridiculous pretend jobs. You know, they go to the office and they have 1.5 typists, and they have they push pieces of paper in triplicate, duplicate to each other, and they signify nothing. You know, and they build these damn great buildings, and they block off the sun from people in streets. You know, when I walk down the street and I catch a glimpse of me in the window, and I catch my reflection, and I see this incredibly fat, clown-like little creature, I can't believe it's me, because I have such visions of beauty, and then there's so much I want to do, and I see this little old fella, you know, and it seems as if the task well, it is a very weighty one. You know, sometimes it seems almost impossible, and 2 minutes later, when I'm past and I could no longer see me, I'm a giant again, and I know I can do it. I know I can make this the most beautiful city in the world, you know, and I love this city.
Some 15 years ago, when he was 50, Les formally retired, although it was not so much a retirement as a rejection of an old life in order to start a new one. He had been a very successful businessman and had, believe it or not, been considered one of Auckland's best-dressed men. On his retirement day, he went to the edge of a cliff and dropped off the edge, his watch, his Savile Row suits, his briefcase, and saw them disappear into the waves beneath. And now, dressed always like an ancient mariner on shore leave, devoid of time and responsibility, is free to dream.
Now, I have this mad fancy that I will put into operation, of course, somewhere in town, maybe behind the theatre where you're operating there. I want to build an incredibly beautiful pond with a waterfall.
Yes.
And with irises and water lilies and just little outcrops of rock where you can stand out there and pee into the pool. Yes, of course. Well, you see...
But men and women, or just...
No, probably just men. I don't know how women get on peeing into pools, you see. They're probably quite easy, but... You see, I think that it's terrible for men to have to go and stand up against a stainless steel trough.
Yes.
A stall, like animals, whereas, you know, imagine with the sun streaming down and the beautiful pool, and you're up above the water and you can... Puddles. Now, you see, when the water rushes down, there's really nowhere for it to go. So it collects down the bottom there. And maybe there's a tremendous puddle, you know, and the big drops of rain, they fall and they make those lovely bubbles that come up, you see, all over this, just like a pond, you know. We'll do the same thing, then, of course. And children come along from school, you know, and they'll rush along these verandas, and they go and paddle in a little pool down there. Well, that's much better than sending it all away with all the nasties through sewers.
I noticed you've got channels of water running everywhere.
Yes. Well, now, this is another mad thing of mine. You see, this country, the wealth of this country, the beauty of it, as you probably noticed, is the torrential shower and then the brilliant sunshine. And now, most people put their drains under the ground and they call them sewers, which is a horrible word, but I make my channels for water like little rivers. And if you have a look further down there, you'll see that the water rushes down, and then I've turned and twisted these channels so that the water turns over in a great bubble, and it chuckles. You see? Yes, it actually chuckles like a stream, because that's what it is. It is a stream. It's not entirely man-made, because I never feel a proper man. I don't know, perhaps I feel part of nature.
The point is this, that in a modern city, as communities grow, we've got to have basic rules and basic laws and organization. And if we're going to allow every individual to do as he wants, then his next door neighbor may not do. Do
most beautiful cities that I have seen in Europe and in England, they did in fact build over the streets, and they came over like that. Incredibly beautiful.
It is difficult to discover what started Les on his crusade. However, this iron staircase seems to be the pivot from which everything else has evolved. He saw it during the war on a ruined warehouse in Canada and smuggled it aboard one of His Majesty's ships back to New Zealand. To Les, this staircase, and Parnell, is his very private memorial to his many shipmates who did not come back.
Come here. Do you know what little girls are made of? No.
Truly? Well, it's very easy. I've got a book at home and it says that little girls are made of slugs and snails and squash possums, like you get on the road out to Piha, and all those yucky, horrible things. But a lot of people say that little girls are made of sugar and spice, and you know that's not true, don't you? Little girls are not made of sugar.
Is that?
No, they're not. They're made of blood. I think they are. You know, if you prick your finger, you don't get a little piece of sugar. What happens? Just like old grandpas and everybody else. I really do want to save these things. I want to save them. You know, I want people to be able to come into these buildings in 100 years' time. I restore everything so it's good for another 100 years.
Do you put your name on them?
Never. No, because that's stupid. I mean, it's as stupid as I tell people. It's as stupid as for me to think I own this as it's for the worms that live underneath here to think that they own it, because as I say, it's too ephemeral. Life is far too ephemeral. It's, that's the position. I'm quite sure that, well, within your lifetime, that you'll have a little thing like a, I don't know what it'll be like, it may be like a little transistor set, and you'll have two buttons on it, one saying U and one saying D, and you'll press one to go up, be able to take off and fly without any whirligigs. I'm sure, you know, anything that man wants to do, he can do. That's why I have such tremendous confidence in the future. You know, people say you shouldn't have babies, people say you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, because man is doomed. This is rubbish.
That bridge there, which is such a ridiculous shape, really.
Yes,
It looks like a little bridge of sighs, really, doesn't it?
It's a bridge of thighs, T-H-I-G-S, because when I built it, it was in the period of the mini front, if you remember. You probably wouldn't remember. You know, there's these incredibly beautiful long legs, trot over the top, and they would hesitate and look down, you see.
And you'd sit down here and look at them?
Yes, of course. Yes, because I love women and children and flowers and old bricks and people and pussycats. I love it a lot.